Hello and welcome to a special Nerds Amalgamated episode. Tonight we're talking about Stan Lee, who sadly passed away this week at the age of 95. Tonight we have a special guest, Shaun from Xtreme Champion Tournament. Shaun, tell us a bit about XCT.
G'day guys, the Xtreme Champion Tournament is based in the year 2069, where the UFC's evolved back to gladiatorial fighting, and they get around that by cloning different historical figures. So plenty of action, and there's a bit of that underlying story of second-class citizens and not treating them as we would because they're clones.
Okay.
That's nice.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, so we've been pretty lucky. It's the series is the number one selling independent comic in Australia. So we've sold just over 5,000 copies so far, and got a lot more to come in the next 12 to 18 months.
Fantastic. We'll have to post some artwork on the Facebook page from you guys.
And as usual, the link to the XCT website will be in our show notes.
So who's been your favourite character out of XCT so far, if you had to pick one?
I reckon it's got to be my villain. So the main villain is a character called Bayok, which is based on a Native American mythology, or their version of the boogeyman, and he's in our series. He's just a normal guy, but he's got a skeleton tattooed over the top of him, and he uses the blood of his victims to dye his mohawk red. So,
okay, that sounds pretty intense.
He's a pretty nasty piece of work, but he looks cool, and there's an interesting character and character development with him going on as well. So,
so where can we actually buy XCT comics?
Yep, so most of our comics are in your local comic book store, and if they can't, they can be stocked there. Otherwise, the website's www.xct.com.au, or our publishing site, which is www.comics2movies.com.au. So we've got another series that's going to be released in the next 3 or 4 weeks, which is called Terra Olympus, and that's a sci-fi series. So something very different to what the Xtreme Champion Tournament is.
Okay, I have to look out for that. And just have to say thank you very much for letting us steal some artwork for you for our Facebook banner. So, yeah.
No problem at all.
And for putting up with us for the next hour as we record this episode.
I feel privileged to come on. I know we're going to be talking about Stan, so it's a privilege to be able to come on something like this and talk to someone that's or a group of guys that probably have a great respect for someone that I did as well. So
yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Marvel, but I'm a huge fan of Stan Lee.
Yes,
I enjoy some of the artwork and so forth, but just the wishy-washy hippie aspect of Marvel they've sold out. But Stan Lee stayed true to who he was the whole time.
Yeah, I think for me, I didn't really know who Stan Lee was when I first got into comics because, I got in the late 80s, early 90s. So, I remember reading Jim Lee's X-Men and that type of stuff. But it was when I started getting into the writing side of comics and really into the universe that, you can't help but respect someone that's created these type of characters with iconic lines that, half the population on Earth knows. Like, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I'd have to agree there.
Yeah. I will say this: Stan Lee, along with Steve Ditko and Jack Kirby, those three gentlemen have established Marvel to what it is now. as in the characters they made from Thor to the Avengers, X-Men, Spider-Man, a lot more characters, and they made it who they are now. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, he was the driving force behind a lot of the stuff for them. So
yeah. Like, I'm just looking at some of the characters that he made. He included the Fantastic Four,
X-Men, Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Well, Spider-Man, I guess, is the most prolific one. Captain America. No, someone else created Captain America. I think it came in on issue 3 or 4 of Captain America, and then
Cyclops
Iron
as
Man.
well.
Cyclops, yeah. Magneto. I think sometimes people forget the villains. I think the villains are just as good as the heroes that he's created, like Doctor Doom, Magneto,
Mysterio.
Like some of those are just amazing villains type of thing as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he never did it in a half. It was always everything. It was always pushing for everything to be the best that it could be.
Yeah, I when I first heard the news and I was posting something up on my Facebook page and stuff like that, I just Googled, Stan Lee quotes type of thing. It was pretty amazing at how many really inspirational quotes he'd said throughout his lifetime as well. Like, I actually didn't realize, having met him myself and spoken to him, he was quite, fun and full of energy and full of praise. But some of these things that he said that I've read through and I've saved a few on my computer are really inspirational and something that I know I'll use to fuel my writing drive moving forward.
Yeah. One of the things I've always liked about Stan Lee is his positivity. He's always the whole thing with Excelsior to go above and beyond the mere ordinary and to achieve more than what you think you can. You gotta love a man who that's his motto in life is be more than what you think you can. And that was I remember seeing that in an interview that he did once, where his encouragement to everyone was, don't settle for the mundane and the ordinary. Try to be more than you think you can be.
Yeah, it's a really good message in this day and age as well. I feel like, 70 years on, I think some of his messages ring true even more now than they did back then.
Mm-hmm. And the cheekiness of how he did a lot of his stuff for getting messages in as well was always good. Like with the cameos, not just in the movies, but also in some of the comic books. He's appeared as a cameo character in quite a few.
Yeah, and Big Hero 6, I didn't even realise he was in that.
You didn't? Okay. You realise who he is in Spider-Man, don't you?
And Spider-Man?
Which version?
All of them. He always said that he felt that he was a Spider-Man growing up, but in the actual Spider-Man universe, he's had a cameo that was written in there based upon him as the J.J. Jameson, the editor of the newspaper.
Yeah, J. Jonah.
That's Stan Lee.
Wait, no, that's not Stan Lee. That's Simmons.
No, he originally it was drawn based on him.
Oh, okay.
And his attitude when he was like, that's how he responded to himself when he was trying to get things. That's how he was never happy with himself. He was always pushing to achieve more, and but that was his cameo that he first gave himself.
Wow.
I can't remember which interview that was that I saw that in, but yeah, it just always stuck in my mind. So I can't give you a link to that. Sorry.
I've got it on Wikipedia here saying Stan Lee stated this on the interview on Talk of the Nation that he modeled J. Jonah Jameson as a much grumpier version of himself.
There you go.
Wow, there you go. Even I didn't know that. Hadn't heard that either. So,
Okay.
Was on NPR actually.
see,
Yeah.
I think that's the amazing thing about him is that you can find out all these little bits and pieces that he'd done throughout his life. That if he didn't come out and say, "Oh, this is what I've done," like
Second.
you wouldn't necessarily know that he did it. So
Yeah. Like as I said before, like, I'm not a huge Marvel fan, but I am a fan of Stan, just because of that humbleness and how he did his things. Like, there's a few cosplayers and other people that I follow around the place on Facebook and whatnot, and Stan Lee is always one of those guys that was always happy to go out of his way to help people, and was always very humble in it. And that's one of the things I've always enjoyed about him. Is he's got so much success, and he's had such a massive impact on so much society, but he is so very humble and approachable.
And even the bright side, the good thing about it is that with his humble nature, even his competitive, even his the rival companies like DC Comics, they respected him as well. Like in terms of like DC saying he changed the way we look at heroes, and the modern comics will always bear his indelible mark. His infectious enthusiasm reminded us why we all fell in love with these comics in the first place. That was DC's statement on Stan Lee's passing.
Mm-hmm.
And even Brian Michael Bendis took note of it as well. It says, for a young man who dreamed of being part of Stan Lee's bullpen, the invite was just being the latest in a long list of names. Stan Lee blew my mind, he wrote. It was just at those meetings I was able to really tell him thank you for everything, the little things, the big things, and he heard me. That's beautiful. This is from Brian Michael Bendis, the guy who is, I think, part of the Spider-Man crew in terms of writing and direction.
So the other great comic book writer with that sort of attitude, and I'm trying to find. They did appear somewhere together. Is Lee Falk, who was behind things such as the issues such as the Phantom and so forth. But yeah, like Lee Falk was very similar sort of attitude, and Stanley and Lee Falk, I did see they appeared somewhere together, and they were just like two kids having an absolute laugh.
Yeah, being within the indie scene, it's been really interesting to see people post up their interactions with Stan, and a lot of people have said the same things, that he's been really kind in regards to giving some feedback on books that he's been shown. I know myself personally, I showed him XCT when I did the first 2 issues. So I was lucky enough to meet him about 5 times over the last 8 years at different conventions. So he was full of praise of the books, and graciously took a copy as well, and was really just said, don't let anything stop you. And I think that's been a really big driving force and a motivation for me to whenever I kind of think that I can't get to that next level, that I kind of look at what he did and the age that he did it at, and kind of compare that to where I am and go, okay, I got this type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If there's one thing good about Stanley, like, he is not only the most enthusiastic person, he will always be the one that challenges the norm.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I was researching some through some stuff about Stanley, and there was one that interested me, was how he fought against censorship in his time of day. And it was basically in the 1960s, Marvel Comics was going up against a thing called the censorship. Is it the censorship code?
The Hayes Act, I think.
No, the Comics Code Authority. It was Stanley was going against those guys. This was founded in the 1950s, And it was basically saying you can't have sex, you can't have violence, and cops must not be portrayed as criminals, and all of that. And Stanley goes, you know what? Screw this. I'm gonna challenge these rules.
Yeah.
Posted up here, and he did a very good. There was a documentary that he did on it, and pretty good to watch. I highly recommend when you guys to watch it as well. But basically, and here's an interesting part: as a way to rival that code, he and a couple of others created a comic book company called Epic Illustrated, and those were the guys that were famous for the for manga as well. So this was before Dark Horse Comics came into being. There was Epic Illustrated. So you have Akira, for example. It was all in color and all English translated as well. And that was one. I think that was one of Stanley's That's one of Stanley's lesser known achievements. But they set a standard in a huge sort of way if you look at it from one perspective. So
anyway, what's your favorite Stanley cameo, Shaun?
I'm gonna say the Hugh Hefner scene. I watched the original Iron Man not that long ago, and I was like, I forgotten about that one. I was like, oh my god, I love that. Like every time I see it, I'm like, that's hilarious. Either that or when he calls Tony Stank, I think that's hilarious as well. Because how Robert like keeps a straight face in that, I'll never know. Because yeah.
Oh, that was actually funny. Actually, now that you think about it.
What about you, Bucky?
Well, there's in Iron Man 3 in the beauty pageant when he's holding up the 10. Because I thought, yeah, he's getting to have having a bit of a cheeky laugh about some of the stuff. But in Deadpool 2, the giant mural on the wall, most people probably haven't noticed it. But in Deadpool 2, there's a shot where they're showing down the street, as I can't remember who it is, it was parachuting down. But on the right-hand side, there's a huge mural on a wall, and it's Stan Lee in a pair of sunglasses.
That's when Shatterstar is coming down?
I think so. I can't remember off the top of my head. Sorry. I just remember that mural. And yeah, it was very typical Stan Lee, just understated.
I pulled up an article that says it's Domino.
It's Domino.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, no, it was such an epic picture, but it was done so quickly and quietly that if you're not looking, you won't notice it.
Yeah, that was actually a fun movie too.
Who's your favorite, DJ?
Mine would be Deadpool when he's emceeing that strip club. It was just a funny backstory of how Ryan Reynolds gone to strip club and you see Stan Lee in that strip club and he's like, okay, here it is, guys. You're like, that looks so awkwardly weird. But Stan Lee, what can you say?
He looked like he was having a great time.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember the Captain America, the First Avenger, in the White House cameo that he does? Or did nobody else pick that up?
There's been so many now. Like, it's funny when they showed there's something like 57 different cameos.
Okay.
Which is crazy because unless I go back and watch some of the movies now, I kind of have forgotten some of the spots, like in Thor where he's actually the pickup truck driver trying to get the hammer out of the ground.
Yeah. And he's there at the end afterwards and everyone else has gone away and he's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
For the Captain America, the First Avenger, where they've got the White House press conference and Captain America doesn't show up. Stan Lee's in there dressed as a general. So just one of those little ones you have to watch out for. You go back and you see so many. But even back like the original Hulk movies and TV series, he used to do cameos in that as well.
According to this article, his first appearance was in the Trial of the Incredible Hulk in 1989.
Okay.
Oh wow! Even back in those ones.
Yeah.
Although then it jumped straight to X-Men in 2000.
But
It says he was in Blade, but they cut it.
Yeah, they probably didn't credit his cameos that he used to do. Remember the old original Hulk TV series with Lou Ferrigno? He used to do little cameos in that in the background. Like he wouldn't want he wouldn't probably even be speaking. He would just appear. But yeah, because he did the cameo with Lou Ferrigno in Hulk in 2003, who was the original Hulk.
The one I liked was even in the Netflix series in the first season of Daredevil. They've got a picture of him up in I think it's the police station. Don't quote me on that. It's either the police station or the hospital. But they're in the background. They've got a photo of him up in the background. So I was like, even that was like a nice nod to him and everything like that. So
yeah.
My other favorite cameo of his was was in the second Avengers movie, Age of Ultron, where he's challenging Thor to I can drink this beer.
Yes.
And then a few seconds later, Excelsior, it's dragged away. And I will tell you this, guys, he's actually a genuine World War II veteran as well.
You act surprised there?
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know, actually. He was a war vet. I actually genuinely did not know that.
Okay.
Yeah, my favorite Stan Lee cameo is one that's probably going to shock you. The Princess Diaries.
Huh?
No, it doesn't shock me.
I was watching it with my sister a few months back, and I was like, wait a minute, that's Stan Lee.
Yeah.
No way, I gotta see that.
I think it's the second one when she gets married.
Yeah, I think in amongst some of the links that I posted up there for you guys, there's something there where it talks about him in what's his name, The Princess Diaries, and his involvement with it. So
I wonder what his connection was to that, or whether it was just a generic cameo.
According to Stack Exchange, it's because he was the director of The Princess Diaries, Gary Marshall, was working on a documentary about Stan Lee.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry, actually. No, I read that wrong because the Stan Lee documentary came out years after The Princess Diaries.
Yeah.
So, maybe not. Maybe it was just a random cameo.
It's like the Star Wars lately. That's a pick a cameo in that. How many people are in that these days?
He also had his cameo in The Simpsons.
Yes. Oh, that was a fun episode. That was
one of the truly outstanding ones. He also did a cameo in Superman, the animated series.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's how influential he was with so much of his bits and pieces. He even appeared in Superman.
I'll throw you guys one better. He was in the recent Teen Titans Go movie as well. As as Stan Lee himself, mind you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he was in the TV series Nikita with Maggie Q. He appeared in that at one point.
Do you reckon it's gonna be sad now? Now that he's gone, we won't see much of Stan Lee's cameos anymore. Which is kind of sad.
Well, they said they've pre-filmed like 5 years worth.
Yeah. They've already released a decade's worth in 5 years. So, but yeah, with the appearance in Nikita, it actually came about after he met Maggie Q at the San Diego Comic Con. They were talking away about it, and he was just like, okay. And he was in Toronto where they were filming for a fan expo, and he just turned up and, hey, how you going? So they just, awesome.
But but then besides besides movies and comics, he has been influential in a couple of other mediums. Wouldn't you agree, guys?
He's been massively influential in science.
He was also massively influential in the anime scene as well. Like he's made I think he was influential in one of the anime series. I don't know whether you guys have seen it. It's called let me pull it up. He made one series called Hero Man, which was made in 2009. And
then you had he's Stan Lee, his own show as well, which had all the reality style show.
Superhumans?
All the Superhumans, yeah. So, pretty much any form of entertainment. I think there's only a few people that, you can kind of say has had, a major impact across all forms of entertainment. And, Stan Lee's got to almost be number one. Walt Disney is another, and, George Lucas to a degree as well. But, there's not too many people that have been able to transform entertainment and then other forms of media as well.
Yeah. Here's the other anime series that Stan Lee was involved in as well. It was pretty recent, called The Reflection. That came out last year.
Wow, yeah, September.
Yeah. But now that you mentioned George Lucas, there is one thing that Stan Lee did, which was pretty awesome. Which was Stan Lee was one of the first few people to introduce merchandising before Lucas and anyone else. And the interesting one, he's so Stan Lee introduced merchandising to comics from Hollywood costumes to also including a Marvel music album.
Wow.
And the back then it was called the Merry Marvel's Marching Society. That's the fan club back in 1964, and the merchandise you would get.
Hulk the drummer.
I wish it was.
Hulk smash.
So this is what you would get if once you sign up for the Marvel Society, the Merry Marvel Marching Society. You get a welcoming card, membership card, a one-sided 3 1/3 RPM record, The Voices of Marvel. A scratch pad, sticker, pin back button, certificate, a 6-foot life-size, fully colored Spidey pinup made by Steve Ditko, a $1.50 T-shirt with a Ditko drawn Doctor Strange, a thing drawn by Jack Kirby, and the Fantastic Four by Jack Kirby as well.
Damn, I want one of those.
I'm actually just
You're
looking
only
at
40 years late.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking at the YouTube video at the moment, and I'm loving the fact that it's the original Iron Man and Tony Stark, where Tony Stark was actually in a wheelchair.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah. But, man, there isn't, like, now that Stanley's gone, there isn't many, like, huge comic book artists around, aren't there?
No, I reckon, or I'd have to say probably Jim Lee's the next big one now. And even he's probably in his 60s, late 50s, early 60s now.
54.
So, 54?
Yeah.
So, yeah, for my generation, I would say he's the biggest influence on me. X-Men #1, the reboot in 1991 was the real thing that hooked me into comics. I've got all of that run right up until I think it's about 250 of all those comics. He's probably my biggest influence from an art style as well in what I like to see when someone's creating my characters and all that type of stuff.
okay.
Yeah. Oh man. What's the other thing?
So the thing is, with a lot of this, we're focusing so much on just, I guess it's pretty much the American comic book scene, because we're overlooking some of the because we're talking about anime. So we got to mention Studio Ghibli here because they've had such massive influence on so much artwork coming through today as well.
Definitely.
Like you got the likes of Sana Takeda, who produces some amazingly intricately detailed work. Who would have grown up with the likes of Studio Ghibli and some of the others there, and would have been influenced. So yeah.
Speaking of Stanley, remember how we were talking about Stanley cameos and anime? Here's an interesting one for you, fellas. He was also in a he was also in the cameo in a manga.
Okay.
And it had its trademark mustache and sunglasses as well.
I'm just thinking about the fact that it's a shame that Stanley's no longer with us, because one of the other guys we met at Supernova Brisbane, I reckon Stanley would have loved his book almost as much as I did.
Which one was that?
Speckles' Search for Friends. Yeah, you would have loved it. I'm trying to remember his name at the moment. Sorry,
Rick Meads.
Rick Meads, that's it. He came around to say hello to us towards the end of the day, and he was so incredibly humble. But he introduced this book, which is a children's book about quantum physics and the creation of the universe. And it talks about Speckle, who becomes the universe, and his search for friend. And Stan Lee, I reckon, would have absolutely loved that, because pushing science and learning was one of his things that he always tried to encourage. So
I think we are, like, I know myself personally, I really miss that that moral of a story type of thing in a really good story. You know, growing up and watching, you know, all the cartoons from the 80s and everything, and how they instilled a certain, you know, moral to the story in each episode, where, you know, these days I just feel like it's, you know, all about, you know, upgrading your character and, you know, getting to the next level and, you know, all that type of stuff, rather than actually learning something. And I think really great writers were able to teach you something without you knowing it.
yeah, like when you look back at a lot of the original comic books, whether it was stuff such as the Phantom or any of the DC or Marvel stuff, there was always a lesson you would be learning, and whether it would be a moral compact story, or there would be something with the science. Like when you look at Ant-Man or the Atom, science was cool, learning was cool, because you could do so many really cool things. The Hulk, Spider-Man, all because of science. So
yeah. The one thing I liked about Stanley, now to mention, he always says this: the reason why he made Spider-Man the costume and a masked hero was the fact that anyone can be a hero, from a scientist to a police officer to even a random person on the street. Anyone can be a hero, basically. Yeah. That was like one of the morals that he would instill upon. And you're right, Shaun, on that. Like, you don't see many writers nowadays put that message across these days.
In XCT, do we get these lessons in each issue, or is that something you're going to be bringing about now?
Yeah, so it's definitely something that I'm really mindful of, and that's why there's that undertones of you know, treating people you know, right, and showing a little bit more of that equality without, you know, like shoving it down people's throats and making it so blatantly obvious that people don't want to read something because of it. And there's also that, you know, are we doomed to repeat our mistakes as a society, or can we actually progress and move forward and learn from our mistakes? You know, I really like the UFC. I'm a big supporter of MMA and everything, but you know, from an entertainment point of view, there's only one more step that you can go after that. You know, is it unrealistic to think that in 50 years that we might push our boundaries and go back to watching something like that? I would hope not, but I guess this is where this story kind of touches on our humanity and our inability sometimes to kind of learn from our mistakes. So it's as I said, I've am getting better as a writer. I got Ben Rosenthal, an Adelaide writer that is really helping me out with these new issues. He's taken over most of the writing duties, and you can really see the improvement in both the storytelling and that undertones of what's happening with his improved writing over the top of mine. So
Okay.
Nice. That's very nice. Oh man. I was gonna play something up.
Yep.
I'm just looking at some of the facts, some more interesting facts about Stanley. With the messages that you're putting up there, Shaun.
Sorry to interrupt for a second.
Yo.
We have overlooked the Professor, and what was your favorite cameo, Professor?
He did post
Princess Diaries.
Yeah, that's right. Was it only the one, or is there more?
Only the one. I don't watch a whole lot of Marvel movies.
Oh.
And none of the ones I've seen really stand out to me, so I figured I'd just go with one that does.
Okay. Just, I was a bit worried that you've gone very, very silent. I thought maybe you'd left us.
No, I have not fallen asleep.
Okay.
But you are right. But with Shaun, you were right about the whole messages of morality and the duality of human beings. Like, I think I see them a lot in his works with Stanley's works with the Silver Surfer. Like, like he did like a couple of years back, he did a collaboration with another famous comic book artist known as Mobius, and to produce a book called Silver Surfer Parable. And this was a successor to his final work with Jack Kirby, known as Silver Surfer Ultimate Cosmic Experience. Wow, that sounds like hippie. That sounds like a hippie name. But
Is that why you like it?
Oh, I don't know. But
We don't judge what the DJ is attracted to.
But it was just talking about the whole duality of human of the being and how a person survives day after day kind of thing. What was interesting was how Stan Lee and Mobius first met as well. In terms of Mobius was nervous with Stan Lee because he was so successful, and Stan Lee's nervous of Mobius because he is a really famous artist, and they're really nervous of each other. I posted up the links to you.
Uh-huh.
But I will say this though, like Stan Lee with his work ethic and with his influence, it does show how his works can be viewed as beautiful pieces of art.
Definitely, and I think his legacy will live long on after his life. Will he be spoken about in the same breath as someone as Shakespeare and something like that? People kind of, I feel, still scoff a little bit at comics and graphic novels, but you can really see that changing with more graphic novels, getting into libraries and into schools and everything like that. So it'll be interesting to see in 100 years' time, or not that I will see it, but it'll be interesting to know, like in 100 years' time, whether his works and what he's worked on and the people he's worked with and the characters that he's created, whether they stand that test of time, and I believe that they will. But yeah, it'd be interesting.
Be like when what was that series they're watching? They listen to classical music, and I think it might have been Fifth Element. They put on classical music, and it was Duran Duran from 1980 or something like that.
They have that same sort of joke in the first Halo game as well.
Mm-hmm. So, in a couple of 100 years, the artwork of the Grand Masters, such as Lee Falk and Stan Lee, will be hanging in the Louvre.
I know it sounds a little bit funny, doesn't it? But you just don't know.
Actually, surprisingly, there already is actually work owned by Lee Falk and Stan Lee in the Louvre, and also the Smithsonian.
Wow. Okay. I've been to the Louvre. I didn't see that. I was very underwhelmed with the Mona Lisa. I didn't realize how small it was.
Yeah, I've seen postage stamps that are more impressive. But yeah, no, I don't know if it's actually out on general exhibition, but there was some artwork, because I remember seeing there was an auction with Lee Falk and Stan Lee had donated some original drawings for a charity. I can't remember what the charity was, but they donated it, some work, and it was auctioned off. And one of the pieces that they had auctioned was gone to the Smithsonian, and another piece went to the Louvre.
Wow!
Just because they are two of the leading artists for their time.
It's pretty cool.
So don't scoff at it. Like the Goma had the Marvel exhibit.
Oh yeah, we went to that. It was.
I'm heading back to San Diego Comic-Con next year, which is 50 years of San Diego Comic-Con, and they've wasn't open this year when I went, but they're opening up a museum for San Diego Comic-Con, so it'll be interesting to see what's there as well, because that's going to be a permanent museum in San Diego.
Yeah, well, they'd have pictures of Stan back when he had colour in his hair.
What colour was his hair? I don't think I've ever seen that.
I think it was brown.
It's like a browny, yeah, dark brown, yeah.
You mean young Stan Lee?
Yeah.
I bet you it was black, just jet black.
No.
Wait, I've got a black and white photo of Stan Lee when he was a young kid.
Well, that doesn't help black and white.
I know, but it's just looking at him with a young. He looks like a young pimply teenager.
I found a picture of him. It looks like it's late 70s, early 80s, and he looks like a porn star.
I think I found the one you're talking about. I'm going to throw it in the chat.
He had brownish hair. I've just found a picture of him. But, from 1966. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, that's not the same photo, but the same style.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it is the same photo. Just
it is the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then 1966. There you go. It's brown.
In 1966, he looks like Bryan Cranston at the start.
Bryan Cranston, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
So is Breaking Bad based on?
I have seen a few people say that there was do fake images of him doing Stan Lee's biopic.
Yep.
And he really does look like him, but yeah.
If they're going to do a movie about his life, Bryan Cranston would. I remember him being in an interview, and they asked him about that. And would he ever play Stan Lee in a movie because they look so similar? And he said he would be honoured.
I've got a 1954 picture of him.
Well, we've got a 1942 picture of him there.
Is that actually him, or is it just...
No, it probably is him.
1954, yeah, it looks... Wow, that's Stan Lee.
He's very serious.
He looks like a car salesman.
He looks like Bruce Willis back in Moonlighting. Back when Bruce Willis had hair.
Buy my comics, people. Give me the job.
But there was some... actually, speaking of buy my comics, people... Oh, you were going to say something, Buck?
I was just going to say, they got some of the classic comics there. the Human Torch, like the artwork in that. Sorry, it's just like the same as when we went to Goma, and they had some of the original comics there, and I was nerding out over that. Everyone else is looking at the stuff in the latest Marvel movie, and I was like, "You idiots! Don't you know this is what started this?"
Yeah, at San Diego, they had some under lock and key, and they had like issue 1 of Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man. I was like, not even a foot away from it. Like, it was unbelievable to kind of go, okay, that's where it all started, type of thing.
Yeah. Like they had some of the original Hulk comic books from way back, and I was looking at that and I was just going, oh, because the Hulk is my favorite Marvel character. So
I've got some interesting facts for you guys, but with Stan Lee. So I'll hit a fun fact. Well, I'll start with a fun fact for you. Stan Lee never got a haircut from a barber. His barber was his wife.
That's fairly standard for a lot of the guys from that sort of era.
I'm not having fun yet, though, DJ.
So and a couple of others. So his confidence came from his mother in terms of Lee wrote that as a child that he loves to read books by Mark Twain, Arthur Conan Doyle, Jules Verne, H.G. Wells, and others. His mother often watched him read and said, "I got my self-confidence from the fact that my mother thought everything I did was brilliant." That's fact number 2. Fact number 3: young Stan Lee wrote obituaries. So before writing comics, he wrote obituaries,
and that's been continued into Marvel's present format. They're always killing off their characters and they're bringing them back to life.
Number 4: Captain America was his first big break. So
that was issue 3 or 4.
It was
pretty early on, I think.
It was actually 1941. He wrote it under the pen name Stan Lee, which became his legal name, titled it Captain America Foils the Traitor's Revenge. And that came out in Captain America issue number 5.
What year did you say?
41.
Have you got your years correct there?
I'm just looking at this fact. Here you go.
Fact check fight.
He wrote number 5. He wrote training films for the army with Dr. Zeus. Dr. Zeus? What?
It's an alternative spelling of Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
Some
There was
people
a
spell
lot
it
of
with a Z for some reason.
propaganda about when he was doing the Captain America to try and get
it was with World War II.
Yeah.
Same with Superman
Hitler
and Batman.
Yeah.
Which they actually gave an acknowledgement to in the Captain America movie.
First Avenger. Yeah.
They actually had they did that. The whole character development was around that because that was what it was originally about.
Yeah. I remember how I was saying earlier on about the him fighting against censorship. So it was basically in 1971, Lee received a message from the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare asking him to put an anti-drugs message in one of his books. It was basically Peter Parker's friend Harry abusing pills because of breakup. The Comics Code Authority didn't approve the story with their seal because of the mention of drugs, but Lee convinced his publisher, Martin Goodman, to run the comic anyway. Number 7, an issue with the printers turned the Hulk green. I think we all know that story, guys.
Yep. And wasn't Spider-Man black at one point?
Wait, I don't think Spider-Man was black, but
that was how Venom came about. It was actually a printing error. Someone stuffed up, and instead of him coming out in the correct shades, he came out black with the Spider-Man logo was reversing to white and streaked.
I remember there being a reading about it a while back that some of the early characters got their iconic colors because they couldn't use the prototype colors because they found out their printing press couldn't do that color. I just don't remember who it was.
That wouldn't surprise me. That's why everything's blue or red, like a lot of primary colors.
It was also the heroes because of the origins like of Captain America and Superman. The red, white, and blue is seen as the heroic color, and it's also the nationalistic aspects. So yeah,
Which is kind of funny considering what Captain America stands for.
well, beating up Nazis.
Yeah, going against nationalism.
No, actually, he's pro-America. So it's just
Okay.
It's just a different nationalism.
I'll have to find the one about the Venom outfit. What else was there? Number 8. Remember how Stanley would have that? There would be pictures of Stanley with this famous typewriter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, according to Lee, during an argument, his wife Joni destroyed the typewriter he used to write the first issues for characters, including Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four.
And the lesson to learn from that is, when your wife tells you to do the washing up, just shut up and do it.
Was that his wife who died a few years back, or
Yeah.
did he remarry?
No, he's after his wife died, he was single all the way. But yeah, that was his
Okay.
wife who died.
So
She
he
was
stayed
also
with her after she destroyed his favorite typewriter.
Yes. But he was one of those. He was one of the old school guys who lived by the rule of one life, one wife.
Yeah, I think. Wait, if my memory serves me right, his wife was also did a cameo as well with him at one stage.
Yeah, it's in one of the articles. It was X-Men Apocalypse.
Ah, yes.
He's holding Joan while nuclear missiles launch.
And the last fact, his favorite Marvel film cameo was based on one from the comics. Beginning with the first Spider-Man movie in 2002, Stan Lee had made a quick cameo in Marvel films as a service to the fans. He said that his his appearance in Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer was inspired by the story of Reed and Sue Richards' wedding in Fantastic Four Annual Volume 1, Number 3, in which he and artist-writer Jack Kirby attempted to crash the wedding but are thwarted.
That's great.
You could say a lot with Stan Lee about his stuff, like from his works to his philosophy to how he lived his life outside the media spotlight. But yeah, he'd be greatly missed, guys.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think. I'm moving house at the moment. I'm cleaning up my stuff, and I just came across a signed poster that I'd gotten of one of my favorite artists, J. Scott Campbell, and I got it for my 30th birthday, and Stan signed it, and J. Scott Campbell signed it, and I just found it today, and I'm like, wow, man, like, you're never going to be able to get that again. You're never going to be able to, have that, get him to sign something else. Like that's it. This is the end. And, next to that, the next thing I pulled out was happy birthday, 30th birthday, Shaun, Kerry Fisher.
Oh,
Yeah.
So,
And I was like, oh, damn, type of thing. So, it's and I've just sold a poster earlier today, and that was signed by the cast of Serenity, and I didn't even realize that it's got Ron Glass's signature on it, who's no longer with us as well. So, and I'm a big Walking Dead fan, and early this year I got to meet the actor who played Herschel, who's no longer. So, yeah, it's I'm kind of I feel quite blessed that within this pop culture industry I've been able to meet and then collect and have something to kind of remember these guys and girls in my own little way type of thing.
Can I ask a huge favour here?
Yep.
If I give you a list of certain people, can you not meet them until after I have, just so I've got you're setting a track record here where you've met these people and they're no longer here. So,
yeah.
The who we used to prize is still alive threads on Reddit. So far, they've killed off David Bowie, Alan Rickman, Harper Lee.
No, I haven't met either of those.
Okay.
Imagine
Stanley
if you
as
said
well.
you got a Michael Jackson poster. Are we going, oh,
No, I had bought my ticket to go see him at his show.
That's
Oh.
the reason why.
He
That's the
didn't
reason why
make it out
died.
here,
So you
so
bought
you
the
can't blame me
ticket.
for that one.
No. Well, see, because you bought the ticket, he knew you were going to be there. You go, so I'm just not going to worry about wasting time. Let's just get it over with.
Jeez, that guy. Just kill me
He
now.
reached over and grabbed those pills really quick. Too soon.
Yeah, too soon, guys. Too soon.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Guys, they just I've just got to let you guys know they've
The NSA is coming after us now.
no they're doing they held a public funeral private funeral for Stan Lee, and the statement just been posted on the verified Twitter account. They didn't mention where the event was held, but they said the company is working on putting up a tribute befitting the greatest creator of our time and the father of modern pop culture.
Mm-hmm. I know Chris Hemsworth was saying that all the actors that have been in any of the Marvel movies should turn up to Stan Lee's funeral dressed in full costume.
Yeah, I thought that was a really nice gesture. Whether they do it or not is another thing, but that would be pretty amazing to see all these characters.
So people were concerned about who was it that did Johnny Blaze and then played Captain America? Was it?
Yeah, the current guy.
Chris Evans.
Did he play? Yeah,
He played Human Torch, and then he played
Captain America.
Yeah.
So they were saying, "Oh, what costume's he going to turn up in?"
Well, same with Michael B.
thing.
Jordan. Michael
Yeah.
B. Jordan was the Human Torch, and he was also Killmonger.
Oh yeah.
And then, well, the guy who played one of the guys from Black Panther was in a couple of other movies as well.
That was
Yeah,
Michael B.
that's
Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't
Like the
another one in there
basketball
as well,
Michael
other than-
Jordan.
No, that's why it's Michael B. Jordan.
Okay.
Yeah, there was someone else other than Michael B. Jordan in there that had been one of. I think it was one of the girls had been in one of the other Marvel movies as well.
Oh, really?
It's one of the minor factors. Check that. It was one of those things I heard somewhere, and I thought that's actually pretty cool. Try and track down a link.
I wonder if Ben Affleck will rock up as Daredevil.
Oh, that would be interesting.
And he should call Charlie Cox and say, "You do the black version, I'll do the red costume."
No.
Jennifer Garner as a lecturer.
Okay. Actually, that'd be interesting. Her and Ben Affleck in the same place at the same time, and she's got weapons.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's not a licensed proctologist, but I can see her doing some exploration.
Are you talking about Angela Bassett here, Buck?
I can't remember who it was, but there was one of the actresses.
Because Angela Bassett did she was Amanda Waller in the old Green Lantern movie.
Might have been. I can't. Yeah, as I said, it was.
Yeah, but I think we're getting off topic here, guys. But oh man, in terms of cameos, I would like to see after did the whole 5 years worth of cameos. I want to see like Stan Lee's bust in every Marvel movie.
They probably will do that because they've got, like in Deadpool 2, they don't even have him. And in the TV shows, they only have pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it'll be like
in Deadpool 2, they've got the huge mural on the side of the wall. I've actually got an idea that I have to run past Shaun as an idea to do. But yeah, we'll discuss it later. And if it works out, we will be posting on our Facebook page.
Sounds interesting.
I was just something
Been voluntold, Shaun.
it just came across in my mind just then, and I was just like, oh, yes, there might be something to discuss with you.
So you're gonna put like a Stan Lee tribute thing on your comics, Shaun?
No. With all of that, there is a lot of legality you got to be careful with, especially using someone's likeness and everything. So just on my page, like I've written about a couple of my interactions and that with him. But yeah, I won't put him in a comic or anything like that. Might just write a little bit of a tribute on the inside of the cover in one of the issues. Will probably be something that would mean a lot to me to have in print type of thing. So yeah,
that's fair enough. Yeah.
Anyway, we've been rattling on about Stan Lee for a while. Does anyone have any final points to make?
Excelsior.
Fair enough.
I'll say this. Here lies a man who mythologized our childhood. From you to me, smiling Stan, the world won't be the same without you. Won't be the same without you.
So, actually, did any of you guys go to the Excelsior shouting party?
No, I was meaning to, and then I'm on holidays as a uni student, so I completely forgot that today was Saturday.
That's the life.
You got to enjoy it when you can.
Anyway, well, we'll wrap it up here. So, thanks for joining us tonight, Shaun.
No, thank you so much for having me, guys. It was a blast.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Good night from me.
You'll hear from us next week with our regular scheduled Nerds Amalgamated episode.
Thanks for having me, guys. Been a blast.
You're welcome.
See you guys.
Have a good night, guys.
See ya.
You too.